When I'm passionate about something, I jump in with 2 feet. So for the first half of my life, it was all about young children. I taught kindergarten for 30 years, and I loved every minute of it. But as I neared retirement, I was really excited to be able to devote my time to a newly developing passion, which was LGBTQ activism. In the early 2000s, one of my own children came out.
When people make that decision to come out for the first time, it's just hard to put into words, what that feels like, to know that when I come out, I could lose my family.
Because so often when a child comes out, the family is blindsided, they don't have information, they don't understand, and for many reasons they don't support their kids, and from there it's a downward spiral.
There's statistics that show that LGBT youth are among some of the highest population of homeless youth.
The suicide rate is 3 times what it is for the general population. So I learned of this national organization called PFLAG, which is a support group, chapters all around the country, but we didn't have a chapter in St. Charles County. So I started one because I wanted to meet with other parents who might be going through the same issues and have the same kinds of questions.
When Jill started the PFLAG chapter, it really gave families in St. Charles a place to go for support and to feel like they had someone to turn to.
At the time, I had no idea how many people I would be connected with and how many opportunities I would have through that organization to get involved in all kinds of ways. We talk at civic events and on panels, and we attend protests and do whatever arises that needs to be done.
I can't stress the importance of people like Jill, who are there and providing that support to our youth and also their families, so that they can remain a strong family unit and really have unconditional love for one another. We know over the years that Jill has worked with over 400 families in the St. Charles area alone. And that doesn't count the number of people that, know Jill and, has a friend or family member come out to them and they'll be like, I know somebody you need to talk to. Our PFLAG mom, Jill All. When I speak of Jill, I oftentimes call her our PFLAG mother. And, for me, she has been that. Had my family had a Jill, it would have made all of our journeys a little bit easier.
At the core of my being is the belief that every human being deserves equality and acceptance and love.
So when I was 12, my dad was deployed overseas in the military. After September 11th, he got a phone call that he was going to be deployed. It was challenging for my family. It was very difficult to have my dad gone and my mom having 3 kids under the age of 12.
One day, I opened my front door and one of the neighbors who I barely knew had dropped off this beautiful dinner. And I started tearing up, and Simone saw me, and I think she said, Mom, why are you sad? And I said, I'm really just not sad, but touched by, that someone I barely knew and even not asking just dropped off dinner.
People wanted to make a difference for my family, and I recognized that I wanted to do something too.
So then she asked me about volunteering.
So I went to different organizations in St. Louis, and a lot of them said, you're too young to volunteer. You can't make a difference at this age, and that really frustrated me. It made me recognize that something needed to change.
So when she was a junior in high school, she put together a website locally called St. Louis Volunteen.
And my brother put together sort of the website. It was an ugly sort of Excel type page online. And we found organizations that were willing to take youth to volunteer, that understood the power of youth to make a difference.
She went to high schools and promoted it. And then from there, her goal was to make it a national site.
St. Louis Volunteen evolved into Volunteen Nation. It wasn't just an issue where St. Louis organizations weren't allowing youth to volunteer. It was a national problem. People all over the country wanted to find organizations that could allow them to volunteer. And the idea of Volunteen Nation was to find organizations that could be willing to accept youth volunteers. We have over 10,000 volunteer opportunities that are listed on our website.
She also provides resources and grant opportunities for kids to start their own program.
And when we created our own service projects, whether it was basketball clinics for youth on the autism spectrum, or whether it's gardens in areas of St. Louis that may not have gardens. For me, I really recognize the benefit of volunteering when you're able to create a project from the start to the finish. Volunteer Nation has evolved and grown to help over 1 million youth finding volunteer opportunities across the country.
I'm so incredibly proud of her. She's been recognized as a Forbes 30 Under 30. She's been a Glamour College Woman of the Year, a Traditional Home Woman of the Year. So she's received some, but this really, to be from her hometown community, means the most.
It makes me feel so incredible to see the evolution of Volunteer Nation. I would have been excited if even just one volunteer would have found an opportunity that best fit their interests, but to see so many youth excited and motivated to volunteer with organizations that really interest them is truly the most neat thing to see.
Welcome Neighbor STL was formed in November of 2016 after I read an article in the Riverfront Times about a group of Syrian refugee teenage boys who had been attacked in the area. I thought, what other issues and what other problems is this vulnerable population experiencing?
It's very hard to come to America when you don't speak English, when you don't know anyone.
So many people that had lost their families, that had been devastated by the war in Syria.
When I came to America, the life was very difficult, without language, without job.
We went out to meet the people, to meet the families, and to learn from them what their challenges were and what we could do to help. We learned that the apartments were filled with bed bugs, cockroaches. There were shootings in the area. It was a very unsafe area for these people. So I created a posting on the Nextdoor platform that connected all of the neighbors in the area and let them know about this problem. And we were overwhelmed by the response of neighbors coming out, bringing donations, clothing, shoes, toiletry items, you name it. St. Louis responded.
She came to visit me and she invited her American friends. I told her I need help to learn English and to learn how I can live in this new country.
With many of the Syrian refugee women, they had never worked when they were in Syria. So we thought, what can we do to help accentuate the skills that they already have and that they love doing and to bring their culture to St. Louis? And we thought, what better way to do it than through cooking? And so we started a supper club event. To date, we have held 55 supper club events. We have raised over $80,000 and we have served 2,700 people in St. Louis. And 100% of the proceeds go back to the Syrian refugee women who cooked the meals. We host them in churches, community centers, synagogues, temples, mosques, any place that invites us to host a meal.
She supported me and helped me to build my own business.
She has her own catering company. She's doing between 3 to 5 catering jobs every week.
Syrian people came to America to create their own life and good life for their children. And Jessica, she helped all the Syrian refugees people to create their good life.
One of the things that inspired me to start Welcome Neighbor STL is the fact that my mother left when I was very little. And I always thought, why is God doing this to me? That my mother would leave me. But I realized the older that I got, that God wasn't doing this to me. God was doing this for me, to be able to open up my heart, to show me the pain that other people feel so that I could be an advocate for them and to show them unconditional love in the same way that I always wanted to receive it, but never did.
I spend 2 weekends each month to feed the homeless people because I want to give back to the American people in the same way when Jessica gave back to me. We are very thankful and grateful to this amazing woman.
I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Before the age of 40, I had 7 surgeries due to breast cancer.
Valeda's a fighter. She has sass. She has grit. She's so gracious, though. She has the faith of a mustard seed, but it's as big as a giant.
After the surgeries, I would go home to try to get in my bed, and I couldn't get in the bed. I tried to go get on the couch. The couch wouldn't work. I just couldn't get comfortable. So I got into my husband's recliner and I felt like this is heaven. The recliner was it. And I just told God, if I get better, when I get better, I'm going to give recliners away to women that undergo a double mastectomy due to the diagnosis of breast cancer.
So Valeda's Hope is an amazing not-for-profit for women who have undergone a double mastectomy. Valeda has dedicated herself to providing lounge chairs, really comfortable chairs that women can actually heal in after they've undergone the mastectomy or any type of surgery from breast cancer. They also provide comfort items to the families as well as navigation through the breast cancer process. She also has the Girls Fit Day with Nordstrom's. She does a chew and chat, and she does about 4 mammogram vans throughout the year for the community. And so with all of those activities, she's still able to go do speaking engagements where she talks to teenagers. She was able to partner with one of her doctors in the Go Tell Your Mom series in the Hazelwood School District.
I said, I want to do conferences or seminars, workshops, something for our community because we are number 2 in the United States where Black women are dying at an alarming rate because of breast cancer. We're dying because of lack of knowledge. So if we can get this knowledge in the community, this will help us.
Every Monday without fail on her social media platforms, there is the Monday reminder about Mammogram Monday is what it says.
We need you. I need you. Valeda's Hope needs you to make your appointment and keep your appointment. And we're going to win. We are going to win.
When we're out sometimes, we can be in a mall and someone will walk up to her and just say, Valeda, and they just light up. And they talk to her about how they get her reminders about doing the mammogram or how she might have helped a sister or a friend, whether she knows it or not. She has a lasting effect on everyone she touches.
It's just an honor and a privilege and a humble feeling to be able to give back when your life has been spared. I don't want this to end. I want us to continue to win lives.
We're always headed in one direction. Dad put us on the path to make St. Louis be the best city that it can possibly be. And Andy and I both adopted that. And so we keep that in mind all the time. He was very forward thinking. When he started the foundation, companies just didn't do that. He just felt that we should support the communities that we lived in and worked in. His final wish to us was to make St. Louis the greatest place it can be.
My mom is wonderful. You know, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's funny, she's very compassionate, and I think those attributes are what have made her so good at her job.
15 years ago, Dad came to me and he wanted to save the symphony. So I went on the board of the symphony, spent 15 years there, and that kind of got me going. And then from then, I've been involved with Boys and Girls Club, United Way, Urban League, food banks, you name it. We're involved with pretty much everything.
That's what my mom can do. She can bring people together and expose them to things that they had no idea that were going on right here in the city. Recently, she signed on to be the honorary co-chair of the Girl Scouts.
We are most passionate about the city and everything we can do to bring people together, make it all-inclusive, which is why I'm so passionate about the Girl Scouts, because that is what they are trying to do. Help all the girls, no matter where they're from, prepare themselves to go out into the world.
One of Mom's greatest strengths is that it's not just about giving a check. For her, there is an involvement, and she likes to have that relationship. She likes to be able to call and see, how are things going? Is there anything else we can be doing? And I think those long-term relationships are just another key to how successful she's been.
We have a long relationship with Rankin Technical College. When they came to us, we went down to see the school. They were in a tough neighborhood, and they were not popular in the neighborhood because they were not bringing in kids from the neighborhood. So we wanted to help them with that. And now they build houses in the neighborhood. The kids themselves build the houses, and we're doing everything we can to help with that. But initially it was an automotive thing that we hooked up with them about. Cars are getting so complicated, and so advanced that there's no one that can fix them. We're going to need a lot of people in the future, and Rankin is doing a great job in preparing these kids.
She wants to help everybody. And so I think she's become a confidant to a lot of leaders in the nonprofit world.
What would the world be if we didn't have these people? They're working incredibly long hours, and I'm just grateful for all the good hearts that are out there that do all the good deeds that they do.
She chooses to stay behind the scenes. And so what's interesting is people will say, oh, I didn't know you were involved in that. And she's like, that's how I like it.
It's hard for me because I'm not used to accepting awards, but it's really an honor, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, I've had many careers in my life, and I think I just don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I started out as a science writer. I went from that to landscaping, owning a landscape company. Then I was a project manager of the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Then I became a prison chaplain. I'm a Buddhist priest. I think all the careers gave me a lot of understanding and all the different aspects of human life.
She made me come to believe that if you're a Buddhist, your purpose on this earth is to make other people's lives better. She lives her religion. When she became the chaplain, she was better than all the others I had seen before her in that she did more. She did more for the inmates, and everyone loved her, staff and offender alike. Offenders would confide in her that they were worried that if they got out there with no job and nothing waiting on them, that they were going to wind up back.
And I'd say, hey, Chaplain Mac, we're getting out in a couple of weeks. What are we going to do? They were released from prison with a one-way ticket to where the crime was committed. They got $8.50 from the state. They're required in a certain amount of time to get a job. And so I promised the guys, I sometimes regret that promise as a joke, but I told the guys I retired in April of 2015. And I said, when I leave here, I'm going to figure out some kind of a job that you can do.
I knew enough about her background to not doubt her. She decided, I'm going to open a business and create jobs for ex-offenders. And she didn't like to cook, but she loved to bake. So she opened a bakery.
We started with 2 guys, and this last fall we were up to 11 employees.
They have jobs and they have income, then they have no need to commit a further crime to feed themselves or house themselves. It's really that simple. In Missouri, the recidivism rate is in the 60s. We've had 2 out of 20, I'm saying 25, who have gone back into the system. By my calculations, that's 8%. The rest have all become law-abiding, tax-paying citizens.
We've had one woman who's working for the city of St. Louis now in a full-time position. We have one person who is managing a restaurant, not just working there, but managing it. We have one gentleman who has a 7-year-old son, and he said, my son is never going to go down the road I went down. I mean, I could almost cry when they make their first pie and it comes out right. And they turn around and they go, I made that. And they're just so excited about what they can do and proud of what they can do, and they can walk upright.
A young woman came into our life down in the Central West End. Every morning, she and my husband and I would have coffee with her. She shared with us that she had full-blown AIDS, and she asked us if we would just take 10 minutes and do a short video of her story. With that video, she would take it to schools and she would teach preventative education. And out of that came a nonprofit. That led us to Doorways. That was one of our very first organizations that we were privy to do a documentary about the people that lived there. That was about 25, 30 years ago. Today, we like to give back to the community, and we do that by gratis making videos for nonprofits. We call them mini documentaries, or we call them marketing pieces, but the idea is that they take these videos and they showcase their mission, what they do, what their programs can do to change the landscape of the lives of the people that they touch.
Mary has made a lasting impact on the St. Louis community. She has been involved in human services, in social justice, education, healthcare, the arts, just about everything. And it's been wonderful for, her to share her time and her talent in so many areas of our community, which we've all benefited from it.
COCA turned out to be one of the very first places that I was asked to serve on a board. They have grown into a major arts organization that has a byproduct of social justice. So many young people that wouldn't have had a chance to excel in their skills and talents in the arts, COCA's been there for them.
And they did a video for our organization.
We were able to observe the volunteers coming in with such joy and enthusiasm as they prepared backpacks for kids or boxes of food for hungry people.
She's a genius at problem solving. She's a true humanitarian and a wonderful philanthropist in our community. And I always think if the water is rising, you want to be in Mary's lifeboat. The things that she's done, are going to have a long-lasting impact for decades to come.
I feel so fortunate, so honored, so privileged to be part of this group of women that I'm speechless, and that's unusual.
I was raised on a farm in Tennessee. And we didn't have much, but what we did have, we shared with other people. My father, in his many life conversations, would say, always take someone with you. And that means that you have not succeeded unless you have taken somebody along the way and helped them with their success.
Mary's involved in a lot of things. And, some of us try to stay away and say, no, we're not going to let Mary ask us do anything. She can come in at you and your head begins to nod and you say, yes, that is a good idea. I think we can do that.
Well, the auxiliary to the Mound City Medical Farm, I have been president for 20 years. And this organization, we sort of cater to, let's say, the non-traditional nursing student. So we support her not only financial through scholarship, but mentoring also.
Mary works in a myriad number of organizations.
About 12 years ago, I came across this article, and they were talking about historical Black colleges and universities, stating that they have lost their purpose, that they do not graduate students in 4 years. And the reason was, it was not academically, but it was financially.
So Mary says, we're going to create the St. Louis Morehouse College Parents Association.
And 12 families came forward. Two of our goals, number one, was to make sure that young men would not leave school prematurely, in debt, and without a degree. And the second goal was to support and mentor first-generation parents. Today, we have been able to provide over $125,000 to local students. We have been able to increase the enrollment.
We have now had quite a number of young men or families that now have first-time college experience. And what happens for our community, we get those young men to come back into this community.
I have been blessed myself. People have helped me, have guided. And like my father say, just take somebody with you. And that's what I try to do each and every day.
When our kids were little, my husband and I were going to a lot of birthday parties, and we wanted to teach the kids that not everybody is fortunate enough to go to parties and have birthdays like they do.
I think when Cindy was making birthday parties for her kids, and her eyes were open. She said, there have to be kids that don't get this, because she's led by her heart.
So as a family, we went to different agencies around town and we gave toys to kids that they could use on their birthdays. There was something about it that just really felt like it resonated with me. I love birthdays. My family's always celebrated together. I think growing up with my parents and my brothers, we always celebrated birthdays, and we learned about empathy and caring for others and just being a good, nice person. It's as simple as that.
I believe that Cindy is standing on the shoulders of her parents, who were also huge inspirations, I know, in her life. Cindy is one of those people that really makes a difference with everything she does.
As the kids got older, we did more and more of it, and we had friends and family ask about it, and they wanted to help, and it just kind of organically evolved.
She used everything she had, all the skills, all the intelligence, and all the resources that were there for her, and she made Birthday Joy as a response to what she saw.
Birthday Joy provides birthday gifts to children in need in St. Louis and surrounding areas, and we shop for kids each month. We get lists from agencies in town, and we have volunteer shoppers that range from 2 to 82. And we also have Birthday Joy Centers located throughout St. Louis, where they're stocked with toys and wrapping paper and birthday bags and tissues, so parents can come in and they can pick out presents for their kids.
And it's a wonderful idea, Birthday Joy, to realize that there are kids out there that don't get a present on their birthday, that don't get acknowledged on their birthdays, and realizing how important that is to kids. And when you start to read the letters, one child I read wrote, "This was the best birthday I ever had. Actually, it was the only birthday I had." And I think about those kids as they grow up, what kinds of people they will be and how they will want to give back one day.
Gotten thank you letters from the kids, from parents, from caseworkers that have told us that when the kids see the presents, that their face lights up, and to know that it came on their birthday to celebrate the day they were born means so much to them. It brings tears to my eyes.
She truly epitomizes everything that we all strive to be.
I'd like every child in our community to be able to celebrate a birthday and know that someone's thinking about them.
Cindy is a woman of achievement and a role model for us all.
I think volunteering does a lot for a person. It opens up your eyes. You see what's going on in the other half of the world. I worked in the St. Louis school system for about 40 years. I was educated myself in the St. Louis public schools. Went to Stowe Teachers College.
What year was that?
Wow, do you really want to know? 1950 is when I graduated.
From high school?
From college.
She graduated from Harrison. She was homecoming queen of 1948. So I really credit Miss Ali for my success in higher education. She was my high school counselor. Just always was encouraging the courses to take. You can always do well, and that just inspired me.
The organizations that I joined and worked with and worked in always wanted to help young people achieve whatever they could and be all that they could be.
She spent 1,000 hours with the Miriam Shop, which is part of the foundation that assists the institution. Tops Ladies Distinction is another group. Her beloved Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. She's coming up to maybe 70 or 75 years of service in that organization. Worked with the NAACP. I would say she's one of the unsung heroes of St. Louis civil rights. A watershed moment in St. Louis history is the Jefferson Bank protests, and it really opened up and desegregated, if you will, St. Louis businesses, and Miss Ali was part of that.
My mother was living with us at the time, and she said, "Oh no, I know you want to be with the people down there. You worked with CORE when you were in college and NAACP, but it is too hot. And you're expecting a baby, so no, you can't go. But I still wanted to help. And my help came in the form of telephone calls and helping to raise money to get those who were jailed out of jail.
She understands people and she understands their needs and their plights.
I do have 2 scholarships at Harris Stowe.
She still connects with the students of today.
Who knows what might become of the person who gets a scholarship. We never know. We just have to invest in young people.
So she was volunteering since the 1930s.
When I see the impact of what I've done, I say, well, that little bit did help. Or that little nudge, that little clue, that hug. And I think that it made me a better person, touching the lives of others.